Hey guys, this is Jack. Sorry this is a day late, and also, if I try to face this side more, it's because this side has like an issue, like my eye has a cup by it, and so I don't want to look super ugly. Anyway, this week's, sorry, I'm also picking off little bits of tattoo ink and such because I got further ink today. Um, so this week's topic is goals, short-term versus long-term goals that I have. Short-term goals, they include graduating college because I'm graduating this semester. Increasing my activism work in the short term and long term, hopefully being able to start an actual gender center in San Diego, as I have long planned, hopefully, for. Um, what else? Long term goals I have. I'd eventually like to get married. I don't really want kids. Hatchlings just aren't for me. They're not my thing. I don't really have the patience, I guess. And I have really no desire to pass on what I see as my genetic like fallacies to another human being. Um, let's see. Short-term goals. I guess one of my short-term goals would be to start dating again. Um, I'm not really very good at dating. I tend to jump from relationship to relationship. Um, so I guess I've never really learned the adult skill of dating. But so I'm working on that. And then obviously long term, the hope would be for a relationship. Let's see. And then otherwise, short term wise, I have my own little like mindless short term goals, like create my character for Geist, which is the tabletop my friends and I are gonna be playing soon. Um, finish writing my project, or finish writing and filming my project for the upcoming Bloody Cuts contest um, for horror shorts. I would also like to next semester. This is related to short term and long term, I guess. I would like to take some film classes. Short term, that would help me in gaining the skills I need to start creating films. But long term, obviously, it would benefit me in that I would have very, very necessary industry skills that I probably wouldn't be able to learn otherwise. It also makes me more likely to be able to volunteer and more of an attractive volunteer for filmmakers. I'm hoping to eventually intern for some horror peoples. Um, in relation to my transition, my goals are to, I do want bottom surgery. I'm getting top surgery on January 21st. Yay. Um, but other than that, I do seek bottom surgery. I'm going to possibly go the route of genital masculinization followed by phalloplasty, but I do significantly want a phalloplasty despite the imperfections of the surgery currently. But we'll see what the next couple years bring technology and medically to the world and Western culture specifically. Perhaps if the techniques improve, then maybe I'll choose a different one that somehow is developed, or maybe I know that Crane, the doctor who I want to go to for my bottom surgery, is very accessible to patients and tends to allow them to structure their surgical procedures to fulfill the needs that they need them to fill. One of my friends saw him speak at a conference and said that he was much more accessible than, for example, Dr. Meltzer, who both of these doctors are contracted with Kaiser. However, I know that Meltzer doesn't do several of the surgery elements that Crane does, including the microsurgery hookups, which means that he may be able to create a phalloplasty penis, but it won't have any feeling whatsoever. So that makes it less of an option for me, at least personally. Um, but other than that, I do plan to someday seek. I do plan to someday seek getting the testosterone pellets because I personally just don't like injecting myself. I'm a needle phobe. Um, which is funny. But other than that, I feel like I'm doing pretty well in my transition. But ultimately, I want to try to help people and leave a more positive mark on the world. Blah, blah, blah. The importance of education and being successful. Okay. I wrote this topic, but I have a weird view on education. I believe some amount of education is necessary, but I don't necessarily believe that the traditional education system works for everyone. For me personally, for example, it is almost impossible for me to have a comfortable semester. Um, I'm incredible. I get very good grades. I'm a Phi Theta Kappa Alpha Chi Lambda chapter, which is like honor roll or something. Um, I got a scholarship to the University of Utah, so I never had to apply. I was in the top 10% of my graduating class of 942 students in Riverton High School. Utah. So I guess but like once I got into college, the development of my fibromyalgia started, and as that happened, my ability to pay attention and concentrate and remember things got worse and worse and worse. This has resulted in me having to take significant amounts of ADHD medication, as I've always been on it, but it's never really had to combat my fibro before. So now I have to take increased amounts of that, which results in non-healthy eating and sleeping patterns, and also can cause anxiety because the medications they prescribe me are not calm medications. Um, so I but I still get straight A's or A's and B's. But the thing for me is that I'm graduating this semester with a degree. My degree is in social sciences. Yeah, it's kind of related to the field I want to go into, but I feel almost like my parents could have better spent this money allowing me to go to a vocational school because the vocational school approach is much more hands-on and inclusive. So it might be easier for me to not have to take as much medication. I believe that education is a necessary component to succeed in the current world, and especially because uh, the the college degree is basically the new high school diploma in a lot of areas. Um, so having one, I guess, is a good thing. However, I believe that people who have skills that fall outside the range of the traditional education system, such as like art skills or um, tattooing or cosmetology or cooking or music, there are a lot of elements that of modern life and society that are not necessarily dependent on learning book smart things. Um, in relation to the things that I actually care about, I find that the research I do and the learning I do in relation to those topics is actually enjoyable for me, and I actually pay attention to it and I seek it. Whereas I feel like uh, the the lack of personal interest in much of the traditional education system, added to my fibromyalgia and ADHD, has made it very difficult for me to succeed. Even though I will hopefully be graduating this semester. Um, but the role of education is important in that as the country is becoming more educated as a population, citizens need to be able to make themselves competitive in the job market, which is already extremely economically small. So, in order to improve that chance, it's good to have a college degree to back yourself up. Last one, advice on how to create goals for yourself. In creating goals for yourself, I think it's very, very important to make sure you're realistic. For example, me saying, my goal is to become an astronaut by the year 2014. That's not going to happen. But that's something that I could obviously logically discern would not be possible. So when creating goals for yourself, be sure to create goals that push you, but that don't go without outside of your limits. Like for example, I push myself to interact more with people, date them, or date people, hang out with more people, whatever, have more of a social life. But I make sure to not overextend that past my means of being able to healthfully involve myself in that. I guess in that sense, what I mean is that like I don't allow my social responsibilities, to overcrowd my academic career or my job or anything like that. So you have to make sure you take in all aspects of your current life and what might change in it in relation to where you are now and the goal you're hoping to meet. For example, uh, at the beginning of my transition, I wasn't necessarily sure I would wish to seek top surgery, um, because I have a fairly small chest and I don't bind usually. However, as time went on, I became more dysphoric about my chest as my body masculinized, especially, and it didn't match. So I have ended up seeking surgery. Um, but this is the kind of change that you need to be able to factor into your plans for yourself. So make plans that are defined for yourself. Like I want to transition. That would I guess be my goal. But allow the steps you take to achieve that goal to be able to be like flexible. Sorry this is so long. I'll go guys. See you next week.